Hey everybody, Kaye here on my homestead in Tennessee. If you're new here, I live on a little over 9 acres. A lot of it's forested. We're now at April 16th and I haven't mowed because every year I say, okay, what weeds am I going to save? So many weeds, in fact, most weeds are medicinal plants. And you have to decide, what do you want to save? What do you want to tincture, make into hand cream and on all of that? So I put off my mower and put off my mower. I live on a hill, so it's a little tough for me to manage mowing myself, so I do have a mower. He is very willing to go around weeds and leave wildflowers, and when you work by the hour, you can be more instructive and say, don't cut this, do cut that. So that's what's happening today. And so I had to come out and take you on a little journey to find what weeds we're going to save. We're going to save some weeds, medicinal plants, for particular purposes. And I just want to show you how things have totally grown up. So stay tuned. Okay, this is definitely a weed you want to pull out. Maybe it's got medicinal values, but it's so huge and it's spiny and you really need gloves for this. But see, it's about to go to flower and then it'll spread all these seeds. So that has to come out. What's interesting is right beside it, you have this. And you might think, gosh, that's the same thing, but that's not the same thing. This is wild lettuce, and this is like nature's morphine. So I have a video on making tincture from the wild lettuce, and I'll be sure and put the link above. When I think about it, the flowering on the wild lettuce and the spiny thistle, I believe that's called spiny thistle, is very similar, but this has sharp spikes all around the sharp so that it's uncomfortable around the plant. This also looks like that, but it does not. I mean, it does have spines a little bit, but I recommend a plant app if you're confused. Okay, this just happened in the last 2 days. I hadn't even seen these. Fantastic. So everywhere you see a flower, you're going to get fruit, and I see there are no flowers on this side. All of this needs to be maintained. I've got to get in here with a ladder and take care of it. I also need to block this off. Right now I just have a simple cord that's running around this. Obviously the deer could jump over it, but I'm just hoping that they'll be discouraged to do so. Let's walk through here. I've got some new blackberries planted last year that are coming up, and I've got wild lettuce, the purple dead nettle, which is going white here. That's the first thing to come up, the mint family. Okay, I've got Miami mist coming up over here, but the overwhelming plant that I have in my forest is small flower leaf cup. Kind of a strange name. It gets waist high and thick, and all of this goes away in the winter, but it makes it very kind of frightening to go in there and not be able to see the ground. You don't want to step on a snake. Okay, this is my wheat field. Last year I had more topsoil, and this area had really eroded from all the rains, and I had my mower helper come and he took his tractor and smoothed out. He put topsoil out here and smoothed it out, and then Randy came and sowed it in wheat. So this is wheat, And I'm going to give you a close-up, but when you look down in it, it's not real dense, looks beautiful from a distance. He said if you can resist mowing this and you let it go to seed, it's going to fill in more. And I'd much rather have this than crabgrass. Crabgrass is absolutely horrible, and I've got it all over. So this is just a beautiful wheat field, and it's sparse enough right now that if there was a snake going through here, you'd see it, I'm pretty sure. I actually hate to even walk in here because look what just happened. That got bent over. Now, Corey did make me a little driveway through here with wood chips, which of course is going to break down and go away, disappear. I had him lay down all these wood chips right in here, and it went through those two trees. And that way I could have a shortcut from the shop down to my lower garden without having to go around on the driveway. However, I would really like this to get thick here. And so I am going to wait until it blooms and sets seed before I actually mow it. And so I just think it looks gorgeous. I had a wild lettuce plant about right here last year, and this is when I was learning about wild lettuce and the tincture and its pain relieving properties. So I wanted to save this plant, I did, and I put a cage around it and it got tall, and it bloomed, and now I have hundreds and hundreds of wild lettuce plants all in this area. So you'll notice there's a bare area here because these 4 beds, when they were rebuilt last November, were decreased 2 feet. So you have this bare area. What I'm hoping is the medicinal plants, aka weeds, will fill in the whole thing, and then I'll weed whack it. Right now, the white clover, which also has medicinal benefits, that's all blooming, and that's going to bloom, you know, for months. So not worried about collecting white clover today. What's interesting is plantain is an amazing medicinal herb. It's good for bug bites and sunburn, you know, to make into a balm. And it's even good for drawing out the poisons of tick bites, I've heard. So I actually did that when I first came here. I got a tick bite right away, at least one, several. I was talking to Sharon at Sharon's Natural Gardens, and if you've never gone to her website, you really should go there and see. She has, I think she has a medicinal plants video where she takes a tour and goes out. I called her up, I said, I've got a tick bite, and she said, go outside, you probably have plantain out there. And of course I did. I didn't know what it was, but I went right out she said it's probably right out your back door, and it was, just right out the back door. The thing about plantain is there's 2 kinds, narrow leaf and the wide leaf plantain. And what comes up first, it's like one of the very first weeds that come up. The narrow leaf comes up in big clumps, and if you let it, if you don't take it out or cut it, it just gets into a bigger, I had a clump this big, and then it went up and it puts up these spires. It's really beautiful. Maybe I've got one somewhere, we'll see. And of seeds in my raised bed. Not a good place to let something go to seed in your raised bed. I've done that before with other weeds also, just because I have, hey, it's medicine, right? I actually see the first bloom. You see, it's like a deep lavender. That will get to be that big, about twice the size of the white clover. Ooh, I can't be on that knee. That was the knee that I broke, kneecap that I broke. This is the wild lettuce, and right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many you can see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And each one of those, if I let it, this would get to be 5 to 6 feet tall. So obviously this will have to be, I'll have to collect some leaves make some more tincture, and then weed whack this all down. This is going to get out of control. But this is the red clover. Oh, I forget the name of this. I found this last year. This has a square stem, and it's very, it sticks to you. I'll put the name on the screen. I'll look it up. I've got a lot of this right now. This is going crazy. And this looks a lot like the purple dead nettle, but it's not. It's not in the mint family because it's got a round stem. The mint family all has square stem. What else we got in here? But you can see that's 5 different weeds just in a space of this big. And oh, here we go. This is the wide leaf plantain, and it's just a whiter, kind of fatter version. So you see the difference? This is much hardier. It's tougher. This is a little bit more delicate. This comes up early and goes all year. This is just now coming out. I'm going to have to look up and see if there's a preference for balm, because obviously they're the same plant. They should have the same medicinal properties. But since you cut it off, I think the best way to work with these is to dehydrate the leaves, grind it into powder, and put it in your balm. Otherwise, you know, for skin irritations, for tick bites, bug bites, well, you could cut it to make it easier, and then you could just put several leaves in your mortar and pestle and make a paste, and then, you know, put it on your bite and put the gauze on that and then wrap your leg. That's what I did with my tick bite. Okay, that's plantain. Wild lettuce, red clover, white clover. I just saw a video on purple dead nettle. That was the first thing to come up, and most of it has gone white and is drying out and dying, and the flowers have fallen off, but these are still good. So I'm going to pull them out and save them for medicine. Let's see, what have I got here? Oh, I see. Ha! I could have dug that up and put it in a pot perhaps and saved it. So purple dead nettle has so many medicinal benefits. I can't even keep it all straight in my head. I know she mentioned it can be a laxative if you take too much. It is edible, it's in the mint family. What I'm going to do with nettle is probably, and fleabane, is just tie it and hang it and dry it. That's the easiest thing for me to do. Fleabane, I showed you some pictures of fleabane, and I did do a video on fleabane last year. I did find out after I did my video that the caffeine, the natural caffeine in fleabane, so, you know, if we run out of coffee, we can always use fleabane. You know, almost everybody has fleabane coming up in their yard, and it can be either white or this color, the pale lavender, and with a yellow center. I thought it was just the flowers that had the caffeine, so I just collected flowers last year. This year I'm going to collect the whole plant. They're tall, they're like that tall, and I'm going to just tie it and bundle it up and hang it in my dining room like I dried my birthday flowers, for example. So that's just the easiest thing for me to do. So this is a grass that's already going to flower and seeding, and it's called sweet vernal grass. I have to remind myself, there's so many. A flowering grass species native to acidic grasslands of Eurasia and North Africa. Sweet vernal grass is often planted in lawns or cultivated as an ornamental house plant. I don't see that it's a medicinal plant, but it's not toxic and it's not invasive. So, and I think it happens to be beautiful. I'm considering just leaving this whole strip here the whole summer. We'll see. I wanted to point out a horrible weed, and that's nutgrass. Now, I specifically covered these entirely so the weeds could not come up from the ground and get in here. However, I have nutgrass. So that means that it's either in the soil or the birds drop the seed or something. If you pull it out, you usually cannot get the nut, and it will regrow. So if you can dig down, yeah, that root's way down there. Okay, I did not get the nut. That is nutgrass, and it's horrible. It's way down in there, and it just always breaks. Maybe if you have a long weeding tool, you might be able to get it, but I doubt it. This is so deep, it makes me think that it was in the soil. I might have gotten that one. Yep, I got that one. Let's see. So that's the original clump, and you see it's got these very strong, sharp, dagger-like root. You know, that's the the rhizome. So it's going to grow out from that, but you know that's the nut because you got all those roots coming out of it, right? You know what? I'm going to put that in a little water, and we're going to see if we can find the nut. Come on. Show us your dastardly nut. I don't think I've ever managed to get a whole nut before. I imagined it was just a tiny little thing, but look at that. That whole thing is the nut. Wow. I just love having horses to look at from a distance. Here's Henbit. Henbit and purple dead nettle are the first to come out. They are related, obviously. They're both a dead nettle. It is in the mint family because the stem is square, has a square stem. When you roll it in your fingers, it actually, you can tell. Henbit is a very important part of the North American and Eurasian ecosystems as it is utilized by bees and other pollinators as a source of nectar. Additionally, seeds are favored by birds. And so if there's any way to just avoid mowing it, that would be great. It's all in here. And right here. And here. And there's some over there. Wow. What am I going to have him mow? Now this whole area up here is Fleabane. And let me see if there's a distinction on the Fleabane. Yeah, this is Philadelphia Fleabane. And I have a patch that goes, well, there's some over there. There's some here. I wonder if the lavender one has a different distinction. No, it's the same. So it just seems like the lavender ones grow taller. So we're going to collect some of this. I haven't seen any poison ivy in this area yet this year. I sprayed it. Oh, I spoke too soon. Yeah, right there. I sprayed this whole area really well with agricultural vinegar last year, and I see some. Let me collect the other. So this is the way the purple dead nettle looks when it's starting to die back. Or that could have been white dead nettle. But what I'm witnessing is that when it starts looking like this, it's dying back. Just a little grouping of Miami mist over here. And I would love for that to go to seed and have more of that. In fact, I would love for this whole area by the house just to be weeds. And of course we need the pollinators. because I'm going to be planting my big garden down there. It's just that it's 85 degrees and I'm afraid if I set them out now, they're just going to die. So far, all I have is this little string here. And I don't know if it's going to scare off the deer. I doubt it, but it just depends on if there's anything in here that they really want, you know. So these are wild onions. I'm sure you know that. They're very, very strong, very hard to pull out. And if you have a cow and they eat these, the taste comes out in the milk. There's a beautiful little blue wildflower mixed in here. There's purple dead nettle, there's the geranium, there's that thing, there's dandelion, vetch, plantain. I've got it all. Just almost anywhere you look, you'll find 10 different medicinal plants. The thing I hate about red clover is it gets mildew. So all this white on here is mildew. When I've collected red clover, I've just collected the flowers. It's not even blooming yet and it's covered in mildew. And it's everywhere, so that would be really hard to eradicate. You'd just have to mow everything or weed whack it. This one's a little bit hard to see. I've got a bunch of this and it's called large seed forget-me-not. It's in the borage family. It's an early spring bloomer, has these tiny little white flowers. There's 3 flowers right there. Basically, it's a pollinator. You want to have plenty of pollinators. This is the Miami mist, and I absolutely love it. I have a field of this down in my lower garden. This is a little bit closer view of the Henbit, which looks very similar to the purple dead nettle, but it just grows a little differently. Instead of the leaves going down like a cone, they come up. The flowers come up. And the purple dead nettle, the leaves go down like a cone and the flowers are underneath like that. See, you look underneath and you find the flowers. Here's a closer look of a bunch of the henbit. Okay, this is bird's eye Speedwell. This is from Eurasia. It is considered a weed. It's invasive and it infects the soil health. But since it comes up everywhere, I see it all over with all of the other weeds. I couldn't eliminate it, single it out. When you've got purple dead nettle right beside it, you know, there's just no way to get rid of that. Okay, just in this one spot, we have wild lettuce, the geranium, large seed forget-me-not, vetch. Let's see. Oh, there's another one. This one is a tiny little flower and it's purple. I'm going to have to look it up. Oh, and then this little yellow one. I forgot to look that one up. I saw it last year. Just about in any little spot, you'll find at least 10 different. You have herbs, grasses. Some are considered weeds, some are not. This is dead nettle. So I'm going to pick this. This dead nettle looks like maybe it has some mold. It's got white spots on the leaves. I'm going to leave that one alone. Of course, we've got dandelion, which I want to do a whole separate video on dandelion. Look at the bees on my blueberries. We've got the bumblebees, the big fat bumblebees. Whew, hi there. Hi there. I have to select just the right one, right? Okay, so since I work a lot right around the raised beds, I will be collecting some weeds, and then this is more dead nettle, and then and this is henbit. So I'll collect some of this and the rest will get weed whacked. Just a quick peek at, here's some wide leaf plantain. The turnips are looking good. Lettuce is looking okay. I've got a couple of volunteer sunflowers in here. The radishes are doing good. The chard did not amount to much, and some of the beets have struggled. So I need to do some thinning also. Let's see if this radish is actually, oh, there's two right together, so it's probably not going to be very big. This is swamp milkweed. Last year it got completely covered in aphids. So I thought I should dig it up and put it somewhere else, but maybe I should leave it here to just trap aphids off of the other plants. I could pick some of that lettuce right now. Oh, here we go. This is chickweed. So chickweed has all kinds of benefits. You can actually make pesto out of it. Very, very nutritious. But the Speedwell is mixed right in with the dead nettle here, so a lot of this will have to be weed whacked. But all of this is plantain. Look how it just comes up. I just looked down and saw that and I go, what's that? It's right under a maple tree. So I thought, what's that? And it's Canadian black snake root, which is in the celery carrot family. The plant type is herb, not a weed, not invasive, non-toxic. It grows well in partial shade. The Native Americans use the roots in medicinal remedies ranging from snake bite to female ailments. Also, the part of the name Canadian is derived from canadensis, therefore it's called Canadian black snake root. Just in this little corner by my driveway, I have that thing in the middle, that sticky thing, and the purple flower is Phacelia. It came up there even though it's a cover crop that I planted in the garden. A bird brought it up here or something, but it's gorgeous. Ah yes, I remember, it's blue field madder, a species of Sherrardia. It's a weed, not invasive, non-toxic. The plant type is an herb. It's very common, found in fields, meadows, disturbed areas, and forest edges. Tiny lavender or pink flowers, fleshy roots of this plant can be used to make a red dye. However, it is not potent as traditional madder. This is southern chervil. It looks very much like the spreading hedge parsley. Of course, chervil, as you know, is an herb, not invasive, not a weed, annual wildflower with aromatic foliage. Let's see. Let's just see about that. Yeah, it smells kind of good. Carrot-like scent. Reproduces by seed, grows best in sun to partial shade. Attracts birds and butterflies. Well, that's wonderful. Okay, everybody, my mower just showed up. I think he's at least an hour early. So I'm going to have to cut this short. I'm going to collect more of the Fleabane and the dead nettle. And I hope this has been educational. There's so many wonderful weeds growing right in your yard, your garden. If you collect wildflowers from the roadside, I caution you not to do that, only because they spray. You have to find out if it's been sprayed along the roadside. You don't want to collect any wildflowers to create medicine if it's been sprayed. I hope that's helpful. God bless you. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to know more about living on a homestead, especially if you're alone like me. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. This is slender wood sorrel, and you can recognize it because it's got a clover shaped leaf. Little yellow flowers. There's so many little flowers growing in the lawn, and today they're going to get cut. Wow.